Have you ever studied English for years, memorized grammar rules, learned thousands of words, and yet, when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank and your voice disappears? You are not alone. This happens to millions of learners around the world. But what if I told you that everything could change with one simple action? Just talk. Talk to people in English. Welcome to Kunzy Podcast English, where your journey with English becomes more than just study. It becomes a living part of your daily life. In this episode, we're not focusing on complicated grammar or textbook lessons. We're unlocking the one skill that turns learners into speakers. Real conversation. Because fluency doesn't come from silence. It grows every time you open your mouth and connect with another human being. If you're tired of keeping your English inside, if you feel that your voice is ready to be heard, and if you're looking for that push to finally use what you've learned, then stay with me. This might just be the moment that changes everything. Let's begin. Why talking to people in English matters. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I learning English? It's not just for good grades, not just to impress people with how many words you know, but to connect with real people in the real world through the language of the world. That's the ultimate goal. You can spend hundreds of hours on grammar, read thousands of pages, but if you never open your mouth and speak, all that knowledge stays trapped inside. Because language doesn't live in textbooks. It lives in conversation, in eye contact, in laughter, in connection. The more you speak, the more you understand what you lack. The more you speak, the more confident you become. And every word you say, even if it's wrong, is a step forward. Speaking trains your brain to react, to search for words, to take risks. In those moments, you are growing in the language for real. But if you stay silent, you stay safe. You study but don't apply. You understand but don't use. And soon you forget. You feel lost. You feel stuck, even though you've tried so hard. That's the trap of passive learning. So start today. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just speak. One simple sentence, one short conversation. That's the first spark on your journey to mastering English. And it begins with one simple thing. Talk to people in English. Do you remember your first steps as a child? Nobody asked you to run. All you had to do was stand up, wobble forward, fall down, and then get up again. One tiny step at a time until you walked. Learning to speak English is no different. Nobody expects you to be perfect. You just have to begin. The problem is most people don't start. They wait. They wait until they feel better at speaking or more confident or until they think they've memorized all the grammar. But if you wait until you're 100% ready, you may never start at all. Just saying, "Hi, how are you?" Sounds so simple, right? But it could be the key that unlocks an entirely new world. A world where you make friends from different countries, learn directly from native speakers, and most importantly, you begin to live inside the language, not just study it. Starting small doesn't make you small. It makes you brave. Saying hello in English at a crowded cafe, asking a simple question to a tourist. These things seem minor, but they can become major turning points in your journey. Each time you dare to speak, you're winning against your fears. Every word is a brick you lay in building a new version of yourself. More confident, more courageous, more connected to the world. Imagine the day when you can have deep conversations with someone from the US, UK, or Australia. No more mental translation. No more hesitation. That day begins today. With you, with one simple greeting. You don't need to start with something big. You just need to start. And where it takes you, you might not even believe it yet. Why are we afraid to speak English? It's not because we don't know the words. It's not because we don't have time. It's because we fear mistakes. We fear being laughed at. We fear mispronouncing things. But listen, if you wait until you never make a mistake, you'll never start speaking at all. Nobody learns from being perfect. We learn from falling. Children make hundreds of mistakes before they learn to talk, and no one judges them. So why do adults lock themselves in fear? Mistakes are not the end. Mistakes are the beginning. They are the best teachers you'll ever have. Every time you make an error, you learn something. Every time someone corrects you, you grow stronger. It's not shame. It's progress. You don't need perfect pronunciation to be understood. You don't need flawless grammar to be respected. Native speakers aren't waiting for you to be a grammar expert. They just want to see your effort, and your effort will always be appreciated. Let each mistake become a stepping stone. Let each failure become a foundation of your confidence. Don't step back when you mess up. Smile and keep going, because you only truly fail when you stop trying. As long as you're still learning, still speaking, still making mistakes, but moving forward, you're getting better every day. Mistakes are signs that you're trying, and trying is always the first step toward every dream you've ever had. You don't need to spend your whole day learning English. What you need is 5 minutes of truly living in it. Just one message, one sentence, one small action can start building a powerful habit. And habits are what take you far, not the one-time bursts of effort that quickly fade. Send a short message in English to yourself or a friend. Read a menu and order in English if possible. See something around you? Try to name it in English. Instead of thinking in your native language and translating, try thinking directly in English. Let your brain get used to living in English. Don't wait until you're free. Don't wait until you're fluent. That day will never come unless you start now. English doesn't ask you to be perfect. It only asks you to be present. Even one small sentence, one tiny thought in English is a brick you lay in building your language ability. Make English a part of your daily life. Brushing your teeth? Whisper a few English phrases. Walking to work? Practice your pronunciation. Every time you do that, English becomes less of a subject and more like a natural part of you. Don't let English live only in textbooks. Let it live in you. You can memorize 1,000 vocabulary words, study grammar rules for months, but if you never speak, everything you've learned is just a hidden treasure, buried deep and untouched. What makes language alive is not books or tests, but people, voices, emotions. Ask yourself honestly, why are you learning English? Isn't it to connect with the world? Then why are you walking this journey alone? Why are you sitting in silence with all that knowledge when just one conversation with just one person could reignite your passion and change everything? You don't need to wait until you're perfect to start speaking. You need to speak in order to grow. And the beautiful truth is this: you're not alone. Out there, millions of learners just like you are looking for someone to talk to, someone to make mistakes with, someone to grow alongside. They don't care if your grammar is perfect. They care that you tried. It could be a friend, someone from another country, an online language buddy, or even a total stranger on an app. But don't wait for them to come first. Be the one to say hello. Be the one who sends the first message, even if your hands are shaking. Because every conversation, no matter how short or awkward, is a leap forward. Every time you speak out loud, you're not just practicing a language. You're building a more confident version of yourself. You're proving to yourself that you are capable of pushing boundaries. And once you push one boundary, the next becomes smaller. English was never meant to be learned in silence. It's meant to be spoken, heard, shared. Find someone to practice with. And if you can't find them yet, become the one who starts the spark. Because sometimes, all it takes is one conversation to change everything. Imagine you are a child learning to speak for the very first time. What did you do? You listened. You watched. Then you copied. That's the most natural way to absorb language. And the amazing part is, that same method still works, even for you right now. Before you can speak well, you must learn to listen well. Not just listening to understand, but listening to feel. Feel the rhythm, the tone, the emphasis in their voice. Soak in the soul of the language, not just the words. Turn on YouTube. Put on a podcast. Find a voice that speaks to you, one that inspires you. Then listen. You don't need to understand everything. What matters is letting the sound reach your brain, letting it become familiar. And once your ears are used to it, begin to imitate. Shadowing. A simple technique that works like magic. You listen and speak at the same time. No translating. No stopping. Just repeat like a mirror echoing the sound. Bit by bit, your mouth becomes more flexible, your brain responds faster, your tone improves, your confidence grows, all because you listened and repeated. Language is music. And to sing it well, you have to listen deeply. Think of every video as a melody, every podcast as practice. Every time you speak along with them, you're getting closer to becoming a confident English speaker. Listen to understand, but more importantly, listen to become. Stick with it, and you'll be amazed at how far you've come. You don't have to be good at English to start speaking. In fact, speaking it every day in real, ordinary moments is exactly what will make you better. Don't wait for perfection. Life doesn't wait, and neither does language. Make English your daily companion. Let it become a natural part of how you see the world. When you see a cup on the table, think glass. When you feel hungry, whisper, "I'm hungry." When you go for a walk, say to yourself, "I'm walking to the store." Every moment is a chance to practice. Stick vocabulary notes on your bathroom mirror. Write reminders in English on your phone. Switch your phone's language settings to English. Small things, but done daily, they change the game. They pull English out of the classroom and into your everyday life. English is not just a subject. It's a setting, a habit, a lifestyle. When you blend it into the smallest details of your daily routine, it becomes part of your breath. The more you live with English, the more English will live in you. You don't have to wait until you speak like a native speaker to be proud of yourself. Even saying hello to a stranger in English is a victory. Even understanding a short sentence in a podcast is progress. These moments might seem small, but they matter more than you think. Success isn't one giant leap. It's 1,000 small, brave steps. Every time you push past fear to speak a word in English, you move closer to the confident version of yourself. And every one of those moments deserves to be celebrated with a smile, a kind word to yourself, or even a little treat. Most of the time, we're too hard on ourselves. We think I made a mistake, or I didn't understand anything, or they must think I'm bad at this. But the truth is, the people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who keep going after every failure, and they know how to encourage themselves along the way. Learn to honor every step you take. even the awkward ones, even the slow ones. Each one brings you forward. When you learn to enjoy the journey, you'll stop obsessing over the finish line. And when you find joy in the little things, quitting won't even be an option. Let your mistakes become your favorite memories. You will mess up. You'll forget words, use the wrong tense, or say something that makes people laugh, sometimes not in the way you intended. And in that moment, you might want to disappear. But here's the truth. Those awkward mistakes will one day become your most unforgettable stories. And someday, you'll retell them and laugh in English. Maybe you once said chicken instead of kitchen, and someone thought you slept inside a bird. Maybe you tried to thank someone and accidentally said something bizarre that made them raise an eyebrow. But those moments don't break you. They make you real. They make you memorable. And above all, they make you braver. When you stop seeing mistakes as failures and start seeing them as milestones, you learn with joy, not fear. Language isn't about perfection. It's about connection, emotion, and courage. It's about trying, stumbling, and laughing along the way. And one day, you'll look back and share those stories with someone, maybe a new friend from another country, or a student who's just starting out, and you'll tell it all fluently, confidently, and with a smile. That will be the day you realize your mistakes didn't hold you back. They pushed you forward. You may have never thought about this, but the moment you truly bloom in English doesn't happen on the day you pass an international exam, nor when you write a perfect essay. It happens in the smallest, most unexpected moments, when you dare to open your mouth and speak a single sentence, even if it's short, even if it's wrong. But you say it, a greeting, a question, a brave attempt to start a conversation. That is the moment you begin to break free from the comfort zone and step into the living pulse of a new language. Many people wait until they're fluent to start speaking, but the truth is, only by speaking will you ever become fluent. There's no shortcut, no perfect preparation. There's only action. Every time you speak, you move closer to the version of yourself you dream of becoming. You build confidence, flexibility, fluency in thinking, in choosing the right words, and in expressing your thoughts and emotions. Every sentence you say, every mistake you make, every awkward pause, they are all part of the blooming. And the beauty is, you often don't realize it in the moment. You only notice your progress months later, years later, and suddenly you're surprised at how far you've come. You can now watch movies without subtitles. You can have a real conversation with a foreign friend without fear. You can think in English without having to translate. Communication is the bridge from learning to living, from passive intake to active expression, from memorizing vocabulary to using words to share feelings, ask questionable stories, and connect. And in that very act of communication, you become yourself in a new language. One day, you'll look back and smile. You'll remember all those funny mistakes, those intense moments when you couldn't understand the other person, the times you wanted to give up, but you didn't. You kept going. You stayed with it. And because of that, you bloomed. Not in a flashy or instant way, but in a strong, steady, and inspiring way. And the most beautiful part is, when you bloom, you unintentionally inspire others. People will look at you and think, if you can do it, then maybe I can too. That's when you're no longer just an English learner. You become a light for others, a guide, a living proof that if we dare to speak, dare to make mistakes, and dare to live fully in English, we can change our lives one sentence at a time. You've studied enough grammar, memorized hundreds of vocabulary words, watched dozens of videos, listened to hours of podcasts. But the one thing you truly need, the thing that unlocks everything else, is the very thing you keep postponing. Speaking. Just speak. Not when you're fluent, not when you're perfect now. Speak now, while you still hesitate, while you still feel unsure, while you still stumble over simple sentences. That is when you need to speak the most. Because growth doesn't come from waiting for confidence to magically appear. It comes from action, from using what you know, however little it may be, and seeing that it works. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You just need one decision. I will speak. Imagine this. You're at a party where everyone is speaking English. They laugh, they share, they connect. You understand them. You want to join in, but you hesitate. You're afraid you'll make a mistake. You're scared they'll laugh. So you stay silent. You smile awkwardly. You nod politely. But deep inside, you crave just one thing to be part of the conversation. Now imagine a different version of you. You step forward. You say something simple. Hi, my name is Anna. I love this song too. One sentence, one moment, one connection. The person smiles back, responds, and suddenly you realize, I'm not just learning this language, I'm living in it. That's the moment you begin to bloom. Speaking English isn't about showing off how smart you are. It's about opening doors. Stepping out of your comfort zone, the space where your native language feels safe and familiar, and entering a larger world where millions of people are waiting to connect with you, to hear your story, to understand your voice. When you speak English, you're not just learning a language, you're unlocking the world. You're giving yourself the chance to expand your heart, your mind, and your future. I know you've been afraid. Maybe you were laughed at once for saying something wrong. Maybe you stayed silent in class, afraid of the teacher calling on you. Maybe you felt jealous of someone who speaks English fluently while you still struggle with basic phrases. I get it. But you're not alone. Millions of people around the world started exactly where you are. No one is born fluent. Everyone starts awkward. Everyone begins clumsy, but only those who speak, no matter how imperfectly, move forward. The ones who wait for perfection stay stuck. And I ask you now, who do you want to be? Maybe you're thinking, I don't have anyone to practice with. But today's world is different. You have endless ways to connect. There are apps to talk with native speakers, online communities for language learners, social media, video calls, podcasts, live streams. There is no reason to study alone in silence anymore. You don't need to sound like a TED speaker. Just start. Talk about how beautiful the weather is today. Talk about the coffee you had this morning. Talk about the book you're reading. You'll be surprised how one simple sentence can spark the most meaningful conversations. I know the first time will be scary. You might freeze. You might get misunderstood. But don't be afraid. That's a small price to pay for something huge. The freedom of expression. When you speak, even just once, you prove to yourself that you're brave. And no grammar book or vocabulary list can ever replace the pride you'll feel when you speak and someone understands you. That's magic. That's the beginning. That's a small win that leads to big changes. English is a bridge. It won't just get you a better job or a scholarship or international friends. It helps you understand the world and lets the world understand you. In a time full of conflicts, miscommunication, and prejudice, language is a bridge to peace. And you have the chance to be a bridge builder, not just a bystander. Don't wait another day. Life won't pause while you wait to feel ready. Opportunities won't knock twice. Today, right after this podcast, do just one thing. Speak one sentence in English to someone. Anyone. Just one sentence. That's your declaration to yourself and the world that you didn't learn English to stay silent. You learned it to live, to express, to connect. And you begin now. One day, not far from now, you'll look back and smile. All it took was courage to speak, and the world changed. Stop hesitating. Don't wait until you're good enough. Step forward. Talk to people in English. It's the first step to every door that will open for you after that. Talk to people. In English. The world is waiting. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of today's podcast. If you're still here, it means you truly care about your English journey. And I want to tell you this. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to start. And step by step, you will become amazing. Every sentence you speak, no matter how simple or hesitant, is a step forward. Every time you dare to speak in English, you're giving yourself a chance to grow. Don't wait until you're good enough to speak, because progress doesn't come from silence. It comes from trying, from making mistakes, and learning from them. And when you choose to connect with others in English, you're not just learning a language, you're building a bridge to the world, opening doors to opportunities you never imagined. So my advice to you is this. Speak. Speak every day, even if it's just one sentence. Speak to a friend, a stranger, a colleague, or even to yourself in the mirror. Make English a natural part of your life, like breathing, like brushing your teeth. The more you speak, the more confident you become. The more confident you are, the further you'll go. One day, you'll realize you're not just studying English, you're living it. You're expressing who you are through a global language. Thank you for choosing Kunzy Podcast English to be your companion. Every listen, every share from you means the world to us. It gives us the motivation to keep creating content that inspires and empowers. If today's episode moved you, if it made you feel stronger, braver, more motivated in your English journey, please hit that like button to support us. Share this episode with your friends to spread this energy. And don't forget to subscribe to Kunzy Podcast English so you never miss what's coming next. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and we're here to walk with you. Step by step, sentence by sentence, dream by dream. You're not learning English to stay silent. You're learning English to speak, to connect, and to unlock a more powerful version of yourself. So, talk to people in English. I'll see you in the next episode. Kunzy Podcast, English your voice, your English, your journey.